Live blog. Follow all the latest updates from Prime Minister's questions here. Welcome to the Independence live blog, which will follow all the latest developments from Prime Minister's questions and the debate on the controversial rollout of universal credit. Theresa May faced Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn for the weekly exchange amid growing concerns the Brexit negotiations have stalled ahead of a crucial European summit. Controversial reforms to universal credit dominated the agenda as Tory rebels and Labour heaped pressure on Ms May to pause the changes, which will eventually merge 6 existing benefits into one single monthly payment for all claimants in Britain. In a victory for Labour, Work and Pensions Secretary David Gauke said the government UC helpline would be made free after it was revealed that vulnerable claimants were being charged up to $55 per minute for calls. Labour hopes to capitalise on concern among Tory backbenchers in an Opposition Day debate that demands the rollout be paused to fix problems with the system. 7 hours ago, Work and Pensions Secretary David Gauke is giving evidence to MPs over the rollout of universal credit. 7 hours ago, the troubled rollout of universal credit is set to dominate the agenda in Parliament today. Mr. Gauke is appearing before the Work and Pensions Select Committee this morning, and MPs will also debate the issue in the chamber this afternoon. Labour will challenge Tory rebels to back its call to pause the rollout and defeat the government in a House of Commons vote. The Independent, the Labour Party, will challenge Tory rebels to back its call to pause the rollout of universal credit and defeat the government in a House of Commons vote. On Tuesday, Theresa May held meetings with Tory backbenchers who are considering rebelling as the government continues its rollout of the new benefit system, which has so far been blamed for inflicting poverty on a number of claimants, even forcing some onto the streets. Labour is to call on the government to pause and fix the system for 6 weeks. 7 hours ago, Mr. Gauke announces the government UC helpline will be made free for claimants after Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn raised the issue at Prime Minister's questions last week. Read our piece on the exchange here. 6 hours ago, Tory Heidi Allen, who sits on the committee, welcomes the concession by the government to make the helpline free. It had been charging claimants up to $55 per minute. 6 hours ago, Mr. Gauke told the committee, given the recent attention and concern that this could place a burden on claimants, I have decided that this will change to a free phone number over the next month. It has been DWP's long-standing position to operate local line charges for benefit inquiry lines, but having reviewed this matter more widely, I will be extending free phone numbers to all DWP phone lines by the end of the year. Read more here. 6 hours ago, Labour MP Neil Coyle asks about people who are at risk of eviction or going into rent arrears following the 6-week wait for payments. The long waiting time for the first payment is one of the key criticisms of the policy. Mr. Gauke dismisses the concern, adding that 96% of new UC claimants have been paid in full within 10 weeks. 6 hours ago, Committee Chairman Frank Field challenges the Work and Pensions Secretary over the DWP's collection of data on universal credit, an issue he has championed in recent days. He has previously accused the government of failing to reveal the scale of the problems with the rollout. 6 hours ago, Labour has reacted to the news. The helpline will be made free as new government statistics show there are now 610,000 UC claimants. Shadow Work and Pensions Secretary Debbie Abrahams said the increase in the number of people on universal credit is worrying given the government's chaotic handling of its rollout. The Conservatives have finally listened to Labour and scrapped the premium phone helpline for claimants. Now they need to listen to the calls of charities and councils and back Labour's motion today to immediately pause and fix the rollout of universal credit, before more people are pushed into rent arrears, poverty and homelessness. 6 hours ago, a universal credit case manager wrote for The Independent about the suffering he sees on a daily basis. The Independent work with many compassionate and thoughtful employees, who try their hardest every day to help vulnerable claimants. However, we can only act within the remit of strict guidelines which don't offer us the flexibility we sometimes need to prevent unnecessary suffering. 6 hours ago earlier, Mr. Gauke said he wants more claimants to apply for advance payments that are available to cover the waiting period for their first payments. More than half of claimants were receiving advances by July this year, he said. He added, I would anticipate it will rise, and that is, in a way, what I want to happen because I want to make sure there is nobody in hardship, nobody not able to access support if they need it. He went on, there clearly have been cases where people should have had an advance and for one reason or another haven't had an advance. I am keen to correct that. Heidi Allen said the rise in advance payments was simply papering over the fact that the 6-week wait just doesn't work. 6 hours ago, Frank Field says the food banks in his Birkenhead constituency could need up to 15 tons of extra food at Christmas to cope with the UC rollout in the area. Asked if he could guarantee there would be no rise in food bank use, Mr. Gauck said ministers were loath to guarantee anything. But he said increased use of advance payments would help the rollout. 6 hours ago, Labour welcomes the change but calls for the government to go further and halt the UC rollout. 6 hours ago, the Liberal Democrats have vowed to back Labour during an Opposition Day debate in the Commons later today. The party's work and pensions spokesman Stephen Lloyd described the UC rollout as a slow-motion car crash. He said 1.5 million people are in private rented accommodation and in receipt of housing benefit. Private landlords are not in a position, financially, to be as forgiving as councils and housing associations. With the delays in payment we have already seen, many vulnerable people will lose their homes. And many landlords will simply stop taking on universal credit tenants. So where are these hundreds of thousands of people supposed to live? Meanwhile, news that universal credit will push 1 million children into poverty by 2020 should give any Conservative MP serious pause for thought. I would urge them to vote against their government on this. The Child Poverty Action Group warned that 300,000 of those will be under 5. The minimum 6-week wait before people get their UC does not work for many, and this shows the emptiness of the Conservative motto to build a country that works for everyone. It's a con, and a cruel one at that. 6 hours ago, Labour whips tweet that there is now a plan for a government statement on regulation of property agents after pmqs, which will limit the amount of time to debate universal credit. 5 hours ago, back at the Work and Pensions Committee, Mr. Gauck told MPs that 81% of UC claimants were now receiving their benefits in full within 6 weeks and 96% within 10 weeks. 5 hours ago, the Independent political correspondent Ashley Cowburn has this take on this morning's announcement. 5 hours ago, Heidi Allen says there are massive hurdles still to cross and asks Mr. Gauck whether the rollout can still be paused if necessary, as it was at job centers in Hounslow. Neil Cooling, DWPUC program manager, says he does not accept that system features are not working well enough to roll it out. He say he put a foot on the brake in Hounslow and he looks at the program every week to make sure it is delivering. Mr. Gauck says he is determined to make the system work and believes it was the right decision to continue with the rollout. He says UC can transform lives. 5 hours ago, the session has now ended. MPs will debate the issue in the chamber this afternoon, following Prime Minister's questions, which begins at midday. More about Prime Minister Jeremy Corbyn. David Gauck. Universal credit reuse content. We use cookies to enhance your visit to our site and to bring you advertisements that might interest you. Read our privacy and cookie policies to find out more. We've noticed that you are using an ad blocker. Advertising helps fund our journalism and keep it truly independent. It helps to build our international editorial team, from war correspondents to investigative reporters, commentators to critics. Click here to view instructions on how to disable your ad blocker, and help us to keep providing you with free-thinking journalism for free. Thank you for your support. How to disable your ad blocker for Independent.co.uk. Adblock Plus. Click the Adblock Block Plus icon, which is to the right of your address bar. On Adblock, click Don't Run on Pages on this domain. On Adblock Plus, click Enabled on this site to disable ad blocking for the current website you are on. If you are in Firefox, click Disable on Independent.co.uk. Firefox tracking protection. If you are private browsing in Firefox, tracking protection may cause the ad block notice to show. It can be temporarily disabled by clicking the shield icon in the address bar. Ghostery. Click the Ghostery icon. In versions before 6.0, click Whitelist Site. In version 6.0, click Trust Site or add Independent.co.uk to your trusted site list. In versions before 6.0, you will see the message site is whitelisted. Click Reload the page to see your changes. uBlock. Click the uBlock icon. Then click the big power button to whitelist the current website, and its state will be remembered next time you visit the website. Then reload the page. Thank you for supporting Independent.co.uk.